The photo on the right comes from a project in art class. I had to mix acrylic paints and I was trying by eye to get the value right, the brightness and darkness. Notice the monochromatic palette here. It's just this one color mixed with white or black to make it lighter or darker. On the left, just for fun, I redid the whole assignment on the computer. And I let it do the hard work, but it was the same basic algorithm. I started from the same grayscale image, so these should look very similar. And then the first thing I did, I wanted to work on the palette. So I created this function here. Oh, I had help from the AI, but I told it what to do. This function, grayscale palette, will take in any value, anything between 0 and 255 to say how much darkness or lightness you want, and the base color, and it'll come out with one of these to give you this nice monochromatic effect. How does it work? Well, there's really three choices. Either it's exactly the color you asked for, or it's got a little black or a little bit of white, and again, it's just using numbers, where over here I was kind of using my eyeballs and wasn't so much my eyes, it was kind of my paint mixing skills here, where I was a little bit inconsistent and got a little too dark in places. So the next thing was picking 5 colors that I actually wanted to use from the palette. And I thought about that a lot, and I eventually said just divide it up evenly. So everything between 0 and 20% gets represented by the number 10% here. Everything between 20 and 40% value is this shade of 30%. So again, just dividing it up into 5 even sections and just using the middle value from each one to represent the entire color range. I considered other stuff, but I looked at it in an art program. This looks somewhat reasonable. You see a lot of the next to brightest color and relatively little of the really bright, this highlight color, and I think that worked out pretty well. And that also made my life easier in the next step. Once I had the 5 colors, these 5 here, then I could use a very simple bit of code. Now this looks a little bit ugly. Again, you wouldn't want to do this by hand. I have a small computer program that helps me fill these things out. But basically this is saying the exact same thing as I'm saying over here, just in a slightly less readable format. This is saying for each level of brightness, how much red should we have, how much green, and how much blue. And again, all of these are listed here. We can go from 0 to 100%. A few more things here. Let's see, I already flipped this for you once. The process in art class, we used some tracing paper, and just because of the process, the image got flipped. And well, mostly I just enjoy making little 3D flip operations. That wasn't much. I also added this thing here so you could change the base color. Anything you want, and see the results immediately. This was something I kind of had to do in my head when I was working on this art assignment. But here, yes, you can see immediately what you're doing here. And why don't I take a closer look? I broke this down. I selected the primary colors just so you can see that the formula is different. Each of these formulas, each of these recipes are totally different, even though they're each looking for 10% brightness, 90% brightness. Blue is just the darkest color in the bunch. If we want only 10% brightness, we say 89% blue, so blue is almost all the way on and nothing else. So we're mixing a lot of blue and a little bit of black to get this 10% color. On the other hand, with red, red is naturally brighter. In this case, if we have 100% red, no blue, no white and no black, just red, then that's considered 30% brightness, where that would be closer to 10% brightness if you did it with blue. Again, you can see here, we added black, so adding black paint is like the same thing as just removing some red light and no other light. Versus on the other side, we're adding the green and blue, so that's how we get white. We have all colors, but extra red. So this is the adding white part. And then let's go to green, same exact thing. So in this case, I have to go all the way up to 50%, and I'm still adding black. This is mostly green. It's 85% green with 15% black, because green is just naturally a bright color. So to match this shade of red that had a little bit of white in it, and this shade of blue that had a lot of white in it, we're just having a pure green, actually green with a little bit of black. So again, it's looking at the actual values of the colors. And again, if you have something like orange, it's going to be something different. 20% red and 7% green, and the rest is black. So here we have the grayscale, and the way we're adding black and white, it really doesn't do anything. I can move this shade of gray. I can say the base is anything and add more white or more black, and I know the result's just going to be a perfect shade of gray. So it's not that exciting. Always gives those same results. Alright, I'll include the links to all this in the description so you can try it yourself. Oh wait, one more thing that's missing. Totally forgot this one. How many colors do we want to use? So you get a slightly different effect with only 4. The assignment said 5, that's why I used 5, but here you have 4 colors, 3 colors. Some of this I would call artistic. It goes the other way too. And very quickly, you stop noticing, like over here, I barely even notice the sections. And they're just starting to go away quickly. Yeah, around here, 25 colors. It's already hard to see the individual colors. It just looks like a complete picture. Yeah, when I set it up to the maximum, really it had maybe 10 times as many shades as it needed. So that's what you can do. Just like art class, only it's a little easier because you have, well, it's a little less messy because it's all on the computer. Acrylic paints are a little bit of a pain. Well, I hope you enjoyed this. All my work's available. You can go and modify it yourself, run it, see how it works. Enjoy.